Have you ever been crushing your fitness goals, feeling stronger than ever, only to be derailed by sickness? One day you're nailing your workouts, hydrating like a pro, and the next day you're in bed, barely able to lift a spoon, let alone a dumbbell? If you've ever wondered how to recover quickly, don't worry. Today I'm going to cover how I navigated getting sick during week 5 of my 75 soft challenge without becoming unmotivated or getting sicker. I'll be covering my best recovery tips, mistakes to avoid, and ways to come back stronger. This isn't the first time I've been working towards a fitness goal where I've gotten sick, and the last time I made all of the wrong choices. And those choices made me sicker than if I just would have listened to my body in the first place. And this time, being on the 75 Soft Challenge, I could have looked at it from the perspective of the challenge and pushed myself through, because there are certain things that are required during the 75 Soft Challenge. And those choices would have made me sicker. Instead, I had a shift in my mindset because the 75 Soft Challenge does not have a fail component. So if you miss a specific part of the challenge, you can continue to the next day. And I chose to listen to my body. And during the points of time during this illness where I was very ill, I decided to skip my workout. So there are several days where I stuck to everything else except my workout. So I stuck to my hydration. In fact, I increased my hydration, increased my fluid intake in the form of water, but also was including soups and those types of fluids as well. So got a lot of fluid intake during my illness. I also switched from reading to enjoying my book on audiobook, which was a part of the challenge that you could do. You could listen to your book on audiobook. So I was getting my rest in and listening or enjoying to my book on audiobook instead. So this shift in mindset allowed me to stay on task and allowed me to stay with my challenge and allowed me to recover from my illness as well. Now, what if you're working towards a fitness goal and you feel like you're coming down with something? Only you know what your body feels like, and only you can know the difference between something that is mild or more severe. So if you feel like you have something that's mild and it may be getting worse, please seek out the assistance of your doctor or your healthcare professional. Now, if you still want to train while ill, there are 3 stages to illness. There are mild peripheral only symptoms, major peripheral only symptoms, or central symptoms. So let's talk about training or not training with each one. Mild peripheral only symptoms are that small runny nose, this mild sore throat, that headache that you've got that's just annoying but isn't painful and pounding. You know, the symptoms you first get when you first start getting sick. The ones that are annoying but otherwise you feel meh, blah. A general sense of garbage and feeling unwell. You're not really all that sick. You still feel strong. You can still go about your daily activities, even going to work. You just feel a general sense of run down. That is peripheral only symptoms. So you can still do your regular training routine at this point with a slight cutback on the activities that you do. So for example, if you do weight training, you could still do your same amount of weights, as in volume and load, but instead of the sets, you might cut that back to 2/3 of the sets that you would regularly do. And you could also do a recovery set of activities for the 2 or 3 days that you feel this general sense of blah as well, cutting both your volume and your sets to 50%. You can also do this for cardio as well. So for example, if you do a HIIT routine, dial back the intensity and cut your rounds to 2/3. Or maybe regular cardio, if you're a runner, you cut back the intensity for your pace and you also cut the time that you're out. So whatever activity that you do, you can cut back on whatever it is in the general sense of blah that you're feeling during the couple of days that this is starting. Because if it's just starting, you want your body to be able to not have to deal with so much recovery from your workouts, because as you work out, you are causing inflammation in your body, and your body is going to be fighting on both fronts. And if your body is fighting inflammation on both fronts, you want to make sure that it's not fighting so much inflammation that it's going to take away from fighting your infection and making you worse. So it is also perfectly acceptable at this point to not do any workouts at all, and therefore allowing your body to completely focus all of its energy on getting well. Major peripheral only symptoms are symptoms like that really runny nose, the one that seems like someone turned a tap on our nose and it's constantly running, and we're going through boxes and boxes of Kleenex, and it's so bad we can't even sleep at night, turning us all into mouth breathers, which only aggravates the fact that we have a major sore throat and we can't even swallow without it hurting. Our eyes might be runny, our head hurts, but our muscles themselves feel fine. Those are major peripheral only symptoms. And at this point, I would recommend that you stop training entirely until you're completely 100% well again. And this is where a lot of people make the majority of their bad decisions to still continue training in some form. And this is where I chose to finally stop training during my 75 soft challenge. And I was sick for almost 2 weeks. So it was really hard for me. But this is where I would suggest you stop so that you don't get sicker, because this is the major chance to turn peripheral only symptoms into centralized symptoms. If you absolutely have to train, I recommend taking a recovery session where you use 50% your sets and 50% your volume. But to be honest, I wouldn't even do that if I were you. No one wants a cold to become a major illness, and that's what can happen when peripheral symptoms become a centralized symptom, such as fatigue, fever, body aches. And that's what happened to me. I ended up getting body aches while I was sick during my 75 soft challenge in this illness that just happened. And thank goodness I was smart enough to not continue to push myself, because I ended up getting better instead of worse. Bronchitis and pneumonia is going around in my area. And if I'd pushed myself, I could have very easily, when I started to get sick and I felt it trying to get into my chest, I could have very easily ended up with bronchitis or pneumonia. And I was very smart to take it back, rest, fluids, recover, and not end up getting bronchitis or pneumonia. And that's what you should do too. Pushing yourself at this point has the major concern of developing a much more serious illness. So your only focus at this point should be to rest and recover from the illness and get better. Before we get into the recovery tips so you return stronger than ever, if you've been enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing so you never miss an educational packed video. I think most people know that they should get plenty of rest and get lots of fluids when they're sick. In my opinion, there's 2 other tips that can help you recover faster and stronger when you're sick that most people don't consider. The first one is gentle stretching and mobility. Most of the time when you're sick, all you want to do is lay in bed, and that's counterintuitive. If you're laying in bed, most of the time that increases muscle soreness and joint stiffness. If you do gentle stretching and mobility work, even if it's just in bed, this improves circulation and flexibility, reduces muscle soreness from inactivity, and warms up your joints for increased activity when you do return to activity. The second overlooked tip would be nutrition. Most people drink soups and things like this when they're sick, which is great because it increases your fluid intake. However, those soups are usually plain broth-based soups. And what I suggest that you do is add some additional nutrition to that to help you recover better. Chicken noodle soup is a wise choice, which is why it's chosen when sick. However, chicken noodle soup from a can is not. The reason chicken noodle soup is a good idea is because at least it has some protein, though usually the protein is lacking. I suggest that if you're going to choose something like chicken noodle soup, add some additional shredded chicken from your fridge to increase the protein intake. The reason for this is because protein helps repair your muscles so that you can recover quicker. I would also suggest you up the nutritional value of the soup by adding some spinach, shredded carrot, or zucchini. This adds essential minerals and vitamins to the soup, which help to increase your energy levels naturally and promote healing. So even though I was sick for almost 2 weeks, that's right, this is the end of week 5 video, but it's actually the end of week 6. That's how sick I was with this cold. The actual sickness that's going around is actually bronchitis and pneumonia. So I'm actually pretty happy that my cold was more mild than what's going around. That's because I was properly hydrated, got lots of rest, and knew how to recover so that I came back stronger. And if you follow the tips that I've suggested, you can too. Drop a comment below if you've ever had a fitness goal that you've been working towards and you got sidelined with an illness, and let me know how you recovered so that you came back stronger too. And until next time, stay amazing.